Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast, the show that offers you tips and strategies to help speakers build the business of their dreams. Now here's your host, 30-year industry veteran and business coach, Jane Atkinson.
Well, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. I'm your host, Jane Atkinson, and today we are talking about scams that target speakers. This is kind of like a little PSA for our world. Our special guest is Lauren Sergy, who recently had a very close encounter with a very clever scammer. Lauren, welcome.
Hi, Jane. Thanks for having me and for doing this PSA.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here. Now, we're going to get to a very particular thing that happened to you, but just in general, tell everybody about your speaking business and what it is that you do.
Sure. So I have been speaking professionally since 2014. That's kind of what I consider my official professional start date, when it started being speaking for pay. And I joined the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers in 2016. So I've been around for a little while. It's been a little over 10 years now, actually, that I've been in a speaking business. It has been my sole focus since 2018. That's when I went full-time solo on this at the end of that year. And I mostly speak to corporations and associations, but also to individual companies and all sorts of different groups. My specialty is in communication training, so helping people speak better to one another in the workplace, as well as have much more impact and presence when they do need to speak in front of a large group of people, which happens, for people who are not professional speakers. They need help in knowing how.
Good. And if there are people that need that, hang with us, because we're going to talk about where they can connect with you. Sorry, somehow Siri got involved in our conversation here.
They're always listening.
Cancel. Okay, so you were recently, and I think that's kind of funny. That's the first time that's ever happened on the podcast, and it's almost like it's saying, okay, and there's this. You were recently targeted by a very convincing scam. Tell us what happened.
So with my business, I get a lot of inquiries through my website contact form, and people are usually asking if I can either do a keynote or provide a workshop, because those are the two main services that I offer. Now, this one came in at the end of April, and it was a really, really normal inquiry. There was a name, the director of this machining company down in Australia. It gave the company's name, which was the same name as a reputable worldwide machining company that my own friends recognized the name of, phone number. And so, of course, the first thing I do is check the website. I always check the websites first.
Yes.
And it looked normal. It looked like an inquiry that was like every other inquiry. And all that this person who was going by the name of Sean said was, we have our annual technology summit is coming up on June 8th. So this was about, I want to say, 8 weeks out, end of April to the beginning of June. Coming up on June 8th, are you available? And if so, what are your fees? For most of the serious inquiries I get via my contact form, that's all they ask. They're very straight and to the point. So already it's like, yeah, this is a real inquiry. So I replied, yes, I am available. Here are my fees. What topic are you interested in? The fellow writes back, that sounds great. It's within line of our budget, so let's get moving with this. The topic I'm interested in is, and I can't recall the exact title off of the top of my head, but it had something to do with leadership through change, skills for leaders who are dealing with change. And in my head, I'm like, that's not a topic on my website.
Yeah, the topic area is an immediate. That is really how to identify a scam really quickly if it's nothing in the line of what you offer.
Exactly. And I have had scam inquiries before where it's like, that's not what I talk about. Come on, people. This makes no sense. It makes no sense that you are asking me to do this sort of thing. But the topic, and here's where it gets clever. The topic title that they gave me is vague enough that it
Yes.
could apply to a lot of different speakers' businesses.
Yeah.
So I do training and have given keynotes on communication skills for leaders dealing with change. So I
Right.
replied to him, and my worry was this is short notice, not unusual, but I wonder if they had someone who backed out and now they're scrambling to find a speaker to fill in. So they might be looking at loads of speakers, and maybe they got me confused with one of my CAPS colleagues. I don't want to scam another colleague, right? So I wrote back and said, I don't recognize that title. I have given talks similar to that, except it's always from the communication angle because that's what I do. Are you mixing me up with someone else? And he
Oh,
wrote
good.
back, nope, it's definitely you. You were recommended to us by a Canadian colleague who saw you speak. Okay, think I. That makes a lot of sense because I am constantly adjusting my talk titles to fit the client's requests in terms of the theme of their conferences or the theme of their training or whatever. So it's
Okay.
not unusual for me to have a bunch of different titles for similar talks floating around out there. Or maybe it was the title of a conference, whatever. Now,
Right.
this is also busy season. I have
Hmm.
got a lot of engagements on the board, and I am also very busy in my personal life. So this kind of running dialogue is all happening quite quickly in my head. So, okay.
You're thinking about going to Australia,
It
right?
was in
Is it
Toronto.
Australia?
No,
Oh,
they
is
said
it
it was in
Toronto?
Toronto.
Okay. All right.
Because
Fair enough.
Australia, that would have been a red
Australia.
flag.
Oh, okay.
Australia, because you're not flying some non-celebrity speaker from Canada to Australia for a topic that probably 200 speakers in Australia could do just the same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
So it was in Toronto, close
Okay.
enough to make it plausible. It's an
Okay.
international company. Yes, they'll have international summits. So I asked for the conference information, of course. And he said, we don't have a conference website, but here's a PDF with all the info on it. This again is not unusual. For many of my clients, I deal with a lot of private events. If it's
Hmm.
a internal corporate event or if it's an invitation only event, they don't necessarily have a website. At this point, the only thing in my head that was really weird was, why is the director of this company reaching out to me? He probably sits on a board. When you
Okay.
deal with enough stuff, you start to justify all of these little, that's weird.
I'm
So
going to ask you a couple of just qualifying
yeah,
questions that because I'm thinking, okay, if I want to know if I'm being scammed, this is what I need to ask. Did they ever say the name of the colleague that referred you?
nope,
Okay. Did you look at what was after the @ symbol in their email address? And did it
100%.
say the name of that company?
Yes, it did.
Like, really?
Yes. The way that I look up companies is that I copy and paste the URL that they use, the
Ah,
domain that they use for their email addresses, and then also cross-reference that with my own searching. This
so
is where
this,
my librarian background comes in because librarians dig. Once you give us a bone, we just keep digging. The website looked, to all intents and purposes, absolutely real. I was able to trace it back to this larger company, this larger machining company. I found Yellow Page ads
wow.
using the URL, very
Okay.
carefully copied. And this will get fun. This will get fun once I really get mad.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in the meantime, I'm saying I need to jump on a phone call with you because
Yes.
I always talk to clients. You have a Zoom call or a phone call, you make the voice contact to
Yes.
discuss their needs and see how you can customize what you're offering, right?
Yes.
That here would,
That's a
yeah,
really good thing to be asking for next. And we always want that no matter who we're speaking to.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, dude's in Australia, 16
Yes.
hour time difference. And this is
Okay.
where it's like, this is where the pieces, why I'm saying they're getting smart. 16-hour time differences make it really hard to line up for phone calls. I spent time in Australia. It was a pain connecting with my family in Canada.
Yeah.
Um, and so I kept asking for times, kept suggesting times, and this is maybe only 2 or 3 email exchanges. And
Yeah.
I'm on the road in the meantime. And he's not picking up on that. Like he's not committing to a phone call. And then he says, sorry, I've been off on a business trip with this company. And he gives me another company name that is real, which I did all the checking out. Yes, that company is real. And yes, I can totally understand why he'd be in the middle of a big business decision with that company. It's adding to the legitimacy of his story.
Yeah.
So
Detail. Good
All
detail.
of this is going down. So we agree on a topic. I write up an abstract, say, okay, this is how we're going to tackle this topic from the communication angle. Here is the speaker's contract. And now things are moving into May. I want to get this contract signed because you never make any bookings without your deposit invoice being paid out, right? So I want this contract signed. I send him the contract, the deposit invoice, and a voided check to allow for the transfer of the deposit. Most of my clients, like 90% of them, pay through direct deposit that way.
Okay.
So he, after a little bit of nagging on my part, do you want this? Do you want me to release the date, buddy? Just tell me.
Yeah.
He replies, yes, looks great. Let's move forward. Here's the signed contract. And I've sent the invoice to my business partner in Canada. He's going to issue you a certified check.
Okay.
That is when my alarm bells went off. And
Certified check is the alarm bell. Okay.
it was two things in there. Number one, he referred to a Canadian colleague, but he had never used the words business partner. Those are weird words to use.
Yeah.
Those are very weird words to use.
I love that
Number
you were
two,
so in tune and looking for red flags here. Like, good for you, Lauren.
because up
Pretty
until
legit.
then, there hadn't been any bits of interaction about this that I haven't experienced with other genuine clients.
Yeah.
I've had directors contact me personally to provide them with talks. I have had to chase down and nag people to get the contract signed. What speaker hasn't? Oh, I just hit my microphone. I'm sorry. What speaker hasn't? But the switch in language to business partner, which I did not like, because he spoke of a Canadian colleague, but he never referred to a business partner. That's a different relationship.
Okay.
And the certified check was the dead giveaway. As soon as I saw certified check, I knew something was up. I knew it was a scam.
So this is like one of those podcasts where the layers just keep coming off the onion and there's more. And wait, there's more. Oh, he spent time in jail. Oh, wait, there's more.
Oh, totally. Now, this is where I really want everyone listening to pay attention. You have to know how different payment schemes work.
Okay.
I've always been interested in personal finance, so I already had heard about the certified check scam.
Oh, do tell.
That's why I was like, no, you're not. What happens is that a certified check is a form of payment that the person issuing the check has to go to the bank physically in person and get a check from the bank teller. It can also be in the form of a bank draft or a money order.
Right.
What this does, the reason why it's quote unquote certified, is because the bank certifies that the person or the organization has the money in their account right now to pay it. Everything hinges on this, everything. So they sign off on it. The person sends the check to the recipient. And as soon as the check leaves their hand, they can't cancel it. Then as soon as the recipient receives and deposits the money, they have access to the funds as if the check has already cleared the bank.
Right.
This is how the scam unfolds. So he says, I'm going to send you a certified check. They will send you my business partner will send you the tracking information by FedEx, because once the check leaves your hands, it's pretty much as good as cash.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. This thing is not showing up. A couple days later, he replies, says, oh, no, Lauren, the business partner, he sent out the check, but I noticed something. I noticed a discrepancy after it was sent out, that we issued you a check not for $4,100, but for $41,100. So here's where the scam comes in, right? First up, no bank ever issues, no business is going to issue a certified check for $4,100. That's chump change to these people. Like, no. But the overpayment scheme, which happens in a lot, it also happens on Facebook Marketplace for much smaller amounts. As soon as he sent that, I knew it was going to come up. I'm like, I'll give you 5 minutes to reply to me. You're gonna reply to me in 10 minutes, but he exceeded my expectations, wrote me back in 5 minutes and said, oh no, Lauren, we can't cancel the check. I already knew. We can't cancel the check. So ring the bell. What I would like you to do is deposit the check in its entirety, and then I will give you instructions for how to send us back the amount of the overpayment.
Oh,
You
yeah.
keep the deposit, you send us back the money for the overpayment. So again, with a certified check, you have access, the victim has access to the funds before the bank notices or the victim notices that it's a fraudulent check. And these checks are very convincing. They are very, very hard to spot. You can't be like,
Mm,
well, I'm a smart person, I'm going to notice. No, these are professional fraudsters. They fool
yes.
banks. And so the victim immediately sends back the amount of the overpayment. In this case, would have been about $38,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. Um, and they will request for this amount to be sent back, usually by wire transfer, because it's immediate and now the funds are gone. So the victim sends good money after receiving bad money. And guess who's on the hook for this?
Yeah.
It's not the bank, it's
Wow.
you.
So I think the same thing can happen when people, I think that's a bit of a scam on, say, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist in the States, where people will say, I'm going to PayPal you the money.
Mhm.
Whenever you hear somebody is not in the city where you're selling your item, oh, I'm buying this car for my dad. He's out in Vancouver. Immediate red flag. I can send you a PayPal immediately.
Yeah.
Because then I think they cancel the PayPal or something like that and it becomes a scam.
Yep.
So, oh
And
my goodness.
this is a big one. Like,
You were really
again, these,
smart though to see this for what it was. So certified check was your red flag.
that was the red flag. Certified check. There is no reason why a company this size would need to prove to me that they have the funds for that kind of amount for under $5,000. They
Yeah.
wouldn't need to prove that they have that in the bank account. That
Okay.
makes no sense. But
Okay.
also, getting a certified check is a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
And
it
I've
really.
heard of this scam happening elsewhere. Like, so, I immediately begin looking it up. It's a very common scam actually to be leveraged against lawyers because they deal with trust funds and escrow accounts and money that has to be transferred quickly. And
Right.
the librarian in me came out. So I went crawling through, and in the pages for the Law Society of Alberta and the Law Society of BC, they list the firms that have been targeted, and they have been taken for hundreds of thousands of dollars using this same scam. It's
Mm,
not a small one. And the thing that was on these websites is that the scammers' stories are getting better. They're taking time to develop a convincing story. They're paying more attention to what is going to work with their targets.
right.
And they're building up these slow burn relationships basically, so it feels like it's legitimate. So you can't assume, as I am a smart person, right? But it took until the certified check for me to spot it.
Yeah, it's
So
no longer
you don't want to let
Prince
your
in
guard down.
Africa. It's no
Yeah.
longer as, you've won a lottery or something as straightforward as that we all are so in tune with. So
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, were other speakers targeted by this same scam?
Yes. Other speakers were targeted by the same scam. Once I figured out that it was a scam, and there's a couple little bits that get brought in here. I had he told me that the event was being hosted at the Four Seasons Hotel in downtown Toronto. No wonder they didn't have a problem with my fee, right? Like, yeah, if you're hosting it there. So I
Yeah.
called the hotel and asked them, I need to verify whether or not there's even a booking for this event there. And the events manager said, I can't tell you yes or no because of client confidentiality rules, but you should
Right.
go with your gut. She said,
Oh,
trust your gut on this one. I'm like, yeah.
good.
There's
Okay.
no booking. There's no booking. So I
Right.
blasted this out on the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers Facebook group, said, hey, here's the story, folks. Here's what happened to me. Keep your eye out for this kind of scam going around. And one of our colleagues wrote back saying, hey, I had not the exact same details, but I had that same title sent to me by someone who was interested in a talk. And I think that another one of our colleagues, named a name, think that another one of our colleagues had someone asking about a really similar title as well. Like,
Mm,
they've got our association lists. So
yes.
someone has an association list of speakers, and they're just going down the list.
Yeah.
I also sent this same information to NSA, to the National Speakers Association, in the US. And then one of the fellows there wrote back within a few minutes, said I had the exact same one, same name, same talk title, same phone number, same website address, same dates. And he had also called the Four Seasons Hotel. And at that point they said, no, it's a scam. There is
Oh,
nothing here. So I'm guessing that a few people had called the hotel around the same time that I did.
yeah.
When the speakers are now starting to pick up on it. And his big red flag was that the person would not commit to a phone call.
Yeah. And I think
And
that
yeah,
is
that's a
something that
big one.
be asking for right out of the chute. The talk title has been my savior because I don't know, we've all had this one too, where I think it's like a minister in Africa
Yes.
saying,
Oh, I had Germany and the UK.
please come over and speak at my event. Oh, really? I'm just like toying with them. Oh, really? What topic would you like of mine? Of mine. Well, they give me a talk title, has nothing to do with anything I speak on. And I know they're scams when they come to me because I don't speak on leadership and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
And it
so
wouldn't make sense, right? Like, because I've had the minister scam as well. Why
yes.
would a minister of a Baptist church in Germany be
Yeah.
asking a completely secular speaker who does not
Yeah.
touch religious topics
Yeah.
from Canada? Like, it doesn't make sense. But so
Okay.
much of this one made sense. And with the website, because I was saying how I was able to find the website, what I believe happened is that they spoofed a company that was formerly at that address. Because then I went back into, again, the librarian and me's freaking out. It's like, I have to get to the bottom of this. So I went on Google Maps,
Yes.
found the industrial bay that was saying its address was at, and
Yeah.
then trawled up and down and couldn't find the business listed on either the directory that was on the street or in any of the bays that were there. And then a bit more digging, I found a company with a very similar name. Instead of LMAS Ltd, it was LMAS Pty Ltd,
Yeah.
which is a legal entity in Australia.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
found out that they had closed.
Wow. So, okay, that is so
So they were
interesting.
careful. They were
Lauren
very
Slew.
deliberate in choosing this company.
Yes.
Very
Okay.
deliberate.
So, uh, red flag number one, what topic do they want? Red flag number two,
Phone
I
call.
think I can really identify a scam often by at Gmail.
Mhm.
So somebody will say, we need some details because your account is being canceled.
Mhm.
And let's say this is from Amazon. And I go look, and the email is a Hotmail or a Gmail address. I know, obviously, that is not from Amazon.
Or the
So,
CRA frauds. It's the CRA contacting you, but it's another business address.
yeah,
That
it's
business's email has
nothing,
been hacked.
nothing to do with CRA. So that's Canada Revenue Service, by the way. I believe it's the same in the States where the IRS does not
Yeah.
reach out to you by email and say that you're, being audited or something like that. So they really tried a lot of scare tactics to get you to click on a link. Just don't do it. What other things are, so the red flag number three for you was certified check.
Yeah. The payment system, the payment method.
Payment method was suspicious. Okay. And I think there can be some overseas scams where it comes in the form of, oh, you're going to need a particular type of visa. Here, use my service for the
Yeah,
visa,
I've heard of that one too.
$200 or something like that. So, scam again. What other way can speakers protect themselves against scammers?
I think a big one is being aware of, you brought up the visa one. That's a really good one to mention. Be aware of the regulations for speaking in other countries, because a client will not put themselves out to a great deal of trouble in order to bring you in. They
Yeah.
won't.
Yeah.
So if they're saying you can use our service, you can do all these things, we'll help you. No, that's not real, because they have options in their own country. And a high level speaker who does a lot of international work will know how to take care of those things on their end. So a client won't offer you that. Be very aware of what kind of payment systems you use and accept. Because
Yeah.
again, I flagged this quickly because I knew what the certified check scam was. And my concern here, why I'm blasting it out everywhere, is I'm especially worried about the newer speakers
Yeah,
who
we don't
might not. Yeah, and they're thinking this is an amazing gig. This is such a good opportunity. This is the kind of thing I've been waiting for. Okay, yeah, no problem. No
yeah.
problem. I'll send you back the overpayment. The excitement takes over.
Yes.
And then you can fall into that trap. So be really aware of how different payment systems work. And if it seems like an unusual payment method, look
Yeah.
into it.
Yes, for sure. And if this was an overseas gig, can I please caution you not to book any travel until you have your deposit cleared in the
Yes,
bank? Okay,
cleared.
so if they're sending you a check, wait however many days to make sure that it clears before you actually book your travel.
Yeah.
People, especially these short-term things, are very suspicious because you're like, oh, okay, let's do it really quickly. And you might not be as diligent. And I thought originally you were saying that they would want you in Australia. So you're automatically thinking, oh, Australia, how cool is that? Let me make sure all of my things are in. Now you're down the road in your mind going to Australia and spending time on Bondi Beach,
Exciting,
when in
right?
fact it's a big scam. So
Yeah.
be aware that foreign travel is often suspicious. Okay.
Yes. Had
Really,
they
really.
asked for Australia, I wouldn't have even answered because I
Oh,
would have
just,
known. No, not a chance. Only a
oh,
few weeks out, someone that you
yeah.
could easily find there, not a chance, but it was in Toronto. And I'm
Yeah.
in
Good
Edmonton.
for
That's an
you. Good.
easy trip that I make often.
So discerning. I love that you are
Be
so discerning.
discerning, be
Okay.
really discerning. And if they will not get on a phone with you, if they're dodging the phone call, that's another big red flag.
Okay. So I would just want to talk also about other things that can be legit or might not be legit. We
Mhm.
have pay to play conferences where speakers pay to participate and be seen on a stage. And those are legit. You just have
Mhm.
to know exactly what you're getting. And I would do my research with other speakers who have spoken at this event before, check in with them and see if they got business from it and if it was worth it for them. Most pay to play, I tell my clients, don't do it. We get paid to speak. That's who we are. That's a whole different ball of wax, and we don't necessarily go down that path. Do you have any input on that one?
Yeah, it's that sort of thing. Like you said, some of them are legitimate. I usually do not respond to pay to play because I get deeply irritated as soon as they bring it up.
Okay.
But I will occasionally take on free gigs. If it is local, if I recognize the organization, and if I can tell, yeah, you know what, this is a local association of this group. They can't afford a speaker, but I've got time that month. I'm happy
So,
to go out and
so
give a little freebie talk. But that's different, right? They're not trying to scam.
that's charity.
Yeah.
Okay. So you decide what charities are near and dear to your heart, nonprofits. And then I would say local and short time frame. You
Yeah.
don't want to book a date that's 6, 8, 10, 12 months away. And then they say, oh, rats, I cannot leave town to
Yeah.
get this engagement because I already agreed to that one. Okay.
And for those, I always tell them this is pending me not getting a paid gig. Because if I get
Oh,
a paid gig, I'm canceling.
so
And they're
you haven't.
usually very understanding about that.
Okay.
And
That's
even
good.
then, understand what the value to you is. Don't let them try to pressure you or guilt you into speaking about it. No, actually, in something that I do, that I just remembered that I do want to mention, once I figured out it was a scam,
Mhm.
I stopped emailing them back. There was no more back and forth. Don't try to teach
Don't
these
engage.
people a lesson. Don't
Yeah.
engage. And what I also did was in my email server, I flagged it as a scam, as a phishing, whatever, and I blocked that domain as well because they
Yeah.
will try, and I know this from other people who have who've been attempted to be scammed in similar ways, not speakers, but people who have gone down that rabbit hole. They
Yeah.
will start to bully and pressure and harass you. And it
Wow.
can
Okay.
be really
Wow.
upsetting because they're relentless, they're tenacious, and it can
Okay.
be very upsetting. And especially for the early career speakers, they
Yeah.
might pressure you into doing something you wouldn't have otherwise done because they get you worked up. These are professional scammers. They know what they're
Yes.
doing.
They do. And now with AI, there's all kinds of new things that can come through to you on your home phone, from your grandson or nephew, or somebody's in trouble using his voice. And so be really, really careful of all of those things. We're going to stick to our industry though.
Yeah.
There are speaker showcases that are put on by speakers bureaus and other agencies. They're not scams. Just do your research and ask for references to 2 or 3 people who have done them in the past to see whether or not they've been worthwhile. There are some very reputable speakers bureaus out there who are still running showcases, and I would say those are legit. It's just
Mhm.
whether or not you want to pay to get in front of people who are decision makers. Fantastic. There was somebody in the industry, I won't name his name, but I'm pretty sure he's gone now, who was very smarmy. And I hope I shamed him away. I did tell back in the day.
Doing the Lord's work, Jane.
I did tell everybody his name, and I'm pretty sure he's gone away by now. So I really don't like to see people
Yeah.
preying on speakers. Now, if a bureau wants you to pay to be on their website, that can be a bit of a red flag, but
Yeah.
I would go to the homepage of the website, see who's on there, and call them up. And they'll say, and ask them, did you pay to be on there? And has it paid off for you?
Yeah.
And for most speakers bureaus, they will not charge for that. So that is a red flag. So
They make their
please
money through
be
commission.
cautious. Please be cautious. You really want to do a lot of research before committing to anything. It's buyer beware. And
Yeah.
I'm really happy, Lauren, that we're just making people aware of things to watch out for. And I didn't actually realize that certified check. I didn't know how the
Mhm.
scam worked. I didn't realize that certified check was a big
Big scam.
red flag. So
Certified
anything
check,
else?
money transfer, bank draft. Never trust those forms of payment.
Okay, say the 3 again. I was talking.
Certified check,
Mhm.
wire transfer, unless you set it up first and you have verified the company. I do receive wire transfers because sometimes internationally, I deal with the US a lot. That's the only way they can. But
Okay.
if it gets to the point of a wire transfer, I'm dealing with their accounting department. I know, I've spoken to them multiple times. I know they're legit. If any company asks you to wire transfer back anything, no, that's a scam. And bank drafts. Bank drafts are money orders.
Okay.
Those are commonly used. And there's one additional that I would like to flag for our speakers, if I may, Jane, because so many of our speakers are authors.
Yes.
Watch out for predatory. If you put out a self-published book, and I got this one just this week, watch out for predatory publishers saying we are interested if you are we've received an inquiry from a major publisher looking for the options to purchase the rights to your book.
Yeah.
Famous publisher is, and the guy who called me, and no, I never responded, is Penguin Random House.
Yeah, right.
No, Penguin Random House doesn't do that. And there's
Yeah.
also very often predatory marketers that offer you positions at things like the New York Book Fair.
Mhm.
It'll be book fairs. Do you want us to put your book on a table?
No.
They're not technically scams, but there's zero ROI and it's going to cost you a ton of money to do it. But
Okay.
for a speaker who's put out a book, they might think, "Ooh, goody, book
Yeah.
sales." No,
Okay. I remember just ignoring them. I
yeah,
ignore
I just ignore them.
I ignore a lot of stuff, and I block a lot of callers. I do love
Same.
the cell phone for the whole blocking feature. We don't have that on the home phone.
I must
And
have blocked about a dozen of those kinds of calls from the predatory book fairs and the predatory publishers. It's like,
nice.
no,
Okay.
that's not how the industry works.
Tell people how they can get in touch with you if they'd like to connect with you just to talk about what we've talked about
Yeah.
today or anything. Or maybe they want some help with their presentation skills or communication skills. How would they get in touch with you?
Easiest way is on my website, laurensergy.com. That's LAURENSERGY.com.
Okay.
I am also active on LinkedIn at Sergy and YouTube at Sergy. I'm not on any of the other social media
Okay.
because I'm lazy.
Girl.
So
I'm a
website and
girl. I
LinkedIn.
love it. Okay, that's fantastic. And tell everybody the name of your 2 books, please.
Yes, the first book is the Handy Communication Answer Book. You can blame my publisher for that title, not me. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That one's available in on all online book retailers. And the second book, here we go. Unmute. How to master virtual meetings and reclaim your sanity. That was my pandemic baby, and that one is available on all online publishers as well.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for bringing this topic to us. I love that you so thoroughly investigated, like Lauren, the sleuth that you are, that your librarian just like took hold and
Don't
you
get a
were,
librarian mad.
oh
We know
yeah,
how to find information.
clearly do not. Okay. Beware of librarians, people. No, they really serve. Let's just give a shout out to libraries. There's something going around in Canada about why do we need libraries? I love the library. All my books come through Libby on the iPad, the Libby app. I borrow books. I don't buy books. I have no stack of books beside my bed anymore. And so shout out for libraries. Thank you, Lauren, for being here, for bringing this topic to us. Thank you for listening. And I do hope that you will be very thorough in your investigations. And if this helps just one person avoid being scammed, then job well done, the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And with that, we'll say, see you soon, Wealthy Speakers. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. If you need help building the speaking business of your dreams, head over to wealthyspeakerschool.com and take advantage of our 20-minute next step call. Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast.